day, everybody. My name is Joshua, and welcome back to On a Storyteller's Night, joined by my co-host Nathan, as always.
Hello.
So, how have you been, mate, the past week?
Back at work now. Last week was half term, so obviously there's lots of rain. Did a bit of gardening, helped my parents with a bit of gardening when Jack was over, and went to see Thunderbolts, which was
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It was
All
okay.
right.
It was very much like the last Captain America, that it was an okay film, but it could have been a TV show or TV movie. There was no reason
Yeah,
for it to be in the
I
cinema
mean,
at all.
what I've heard is that as a film, it is an all right film. It is the
Mm,
best since Spider-Man,
yeah.
the most recent Spider-Man film. It is the best
Mm.
one since then, and a bigger hit than Loki if it was a TV show.
Yeah, it's just like the last Captain America. It could have just been a follow-on to Falcon and Winter Soldier. It
Mm,
felt like that. The production value felt like that. The kind of special effects. There was no okay with that one. They did have more kind of a major fight sequence and that sort of thing. Well, a few of them. So yeah, I suppose. But Thunderbolts didn't really have that. It was more kind of a people story. But it was good. It's interesting. The casts were fantastic. Florence Pugh, I think, is always really, really good as Yelena.
mm.
She's always fantastic. So that was quite good. But the rest, it was just kind of like, it just felt a bit kind of silly for a movie. I don't know. It was enjoyable and all that, but it didn't really lead anywhere. The best thing was the post-credit scene.
Don't
That was the
talk.
most interesting part.
Yeah, I don't talk about too much because of spoilers, of
No, I
course.
won't. No, I'm just saying there is one, and it's quite good. Very short, but it's quite good.
Right, Brill. Well, I've been pretty much chill the past week, haven't I, mate?
Mm.
Have got some news though about my
Yeah.
YouTube channel. I had my first video the other my most recent video about the other day. Um, was my first video that surpassed not only 500 views but 1,000.
1,000 views, yeah. So it was the
Yeah,
Walking Dead one, wasn't it?
yeah, my first Walking Dead tier list thing, and
Mm.
it's doing very well. I've
Yeah.
actually got speaking to the person that gave me the video idea. I've also gotten speaking to some of the new subscribers that I've got because they message me on Instagram, follow me and whatnot, and it's just been
Yeah.
like
Looking good.
we've all yeah, like you've always told me, mate. It just takes that one video to get you out there, then it takes you that other one video to go kaboom.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're almost at 100 subs as well, so it's getting there.
I mean,
Getting there. It takes
I've
time,
got an
but
idea for my 100 sub special. I'm gonna do on
mm,
every like major milestone for me. So 100, 500,
yeah.
1,000.
Mm. Yeah, it's worth doing stuff like that. I kind of started doing that a while ago. And it's just like I can't bother now. I've got so many videos on the go. It's like I've got over 1,000 videos. It's ridiculous. 1,000 videos. Well, more than that now. It's about 1,100 videos now, which is just insane.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, don't get me wrong. As soon as I start seeing what is it? The reoccurrence of seeing more than just 12 people
Mm.
constantly watching the same different videos is brilliant for me. But
Oh
if
yeah.
I start seeing like 25 out of the blue and just it stays at a steady 25, I will start thinking about, should I take it out of a little joke and pastime activity and just try and go for it?
Mm. It's one of those things though. It's it's quite good to do, but you can easily get stuck in the I have to do a video, I have to do a
Mm,
video, and you get kind of stuck at the moment. You're in a I didn't do a video, it's okay. But then when you get in that mindset, like I need to do a video, I haven't done a video, oh my God, and you start feeling guilty about it and stressing and forcing yourself to do videos that are just videos and not because you want to do it. That's where the danger is. But as long as you enjoy it and do it for enjoyment, I think the videos will be a lot more real and people respond to that rather than just doing it for numbers type of thing. So it's just one
yeah.
of those things to kind of be wary of, that you can kind of get to a point. It's like, right, this is going good. I need to do more. I need to do this. And just kind of, well, like I said, you can get to a point where it becomes too much like a job
Yeah.
than something you enjoy. And if you're not making lots of money on it, then it can't really be a job in it. So it's one of those odd ones. But it's as long as you find it fun, that's what matters, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyways, mate, let's get on to our topic today.
Okie
So,
dokie.
me and my girlfriend started watching the Predator, Alien vs Predator, and Alien franchise the other day.
Right.
And we're going to go in chronological order by obviously what everyone knows what chronological means by this point. If you don't, it's by history of that franchise, what happens first in the timeline. So we ended up watching Prey, and then we watched Predator, the trusty old Arnie film.
Hmm.
And it just got me thinking that I know what the build up is after watching Alien Romulus, and with Alien Earth right around the corner, it gave me the idea, well, why not talk about what direction could we see the Predator and Alien world go in next after what we've seen in Alien Romulus? And talk about the entire Predator and Alien franchise in itself.
Yeah.
Why, like, what's the best parts about it? What's the worst parts? Plot holes, things that would just make much more sense if they weren't in the films. You get the drift.
Yeah.
So I'll start it off with Alien Romulus, the most recent one. There's imperfections throughout the film, but in my perspective, it was a good Alien film besides the final half an hour.
Yeah, with the big, tall, weird. They do that a lot with them, like Alien 4. They did it as well,
Mm.
Resurrection, where they have some weird, squidgy, half alien, half human. It's just like, ugh,
You
we
see,
don't need that
with
crap.
the whole lore behind it, the engineers made the humans, realized humans are a big mistake to try making the perfect organism. So they made xenomorphs.
Mm.
Predators and xenomorphs ended up crossing paths, grew a hatred towards each other, and the engineers were happy with the xenomorphs, but they had their own way of getting rid of the humans. But that clearly didn't come to fruition thanks to the first Alien film when we found the eggs.
Yeah.
That was going towards Earth to get rid of humans, and humans are trying to evolve themselves by splicing the aliens and humans and predators and whatnot, and that's what keeps happening. They keep going for the same old thing, and it is getting boring because we've seen it in Resurrection, and we've seen it in the most recent film, Alien Romulus, where they try and try to make a perfect organism, and it goes south.
This is
That's the
the
whole
thing that
story
I
behind it.
have against this and films in general is the whole prequel thing. We
Mm,
didn't need Alien Romulus. I know that's kind of it's set after, but sort of in between other ones. It's a weird timeline, but it's not necessarily needed. Even more so, like Covenant and that thing. I don't care who the engineers are. I
mm.
don't care why they created it because the original story didn't have this stuff in place. They've created it later to explain what happened, and I don't care. The same with Star Wars, to be honest. We
Yeah.
didn't need the prequels. I think in many ways it diluted the storyline because you take the original movie, Star Wars, 1977, brand new thing. Nobody knew anything about it. It's got space wizards. It's got light swords. I know lightsabers, but from the perspective of somebody seeing it for the first time, and you just take for granted there's this big force that surrounds everyone. People can use it like magic. There's bad guys, there's good guys, there's rebels, and you see them while they're fighting, and it all makes sense. And then you get the next two movies that explain a little bit more about who Darth Vader is and why Luke Skywalker is important, and it all made sense. And that was a nice little package. And then they go back and go, right, this is where they came from. I don't care. I'll take it for granted that Darth Vader is a bad guy that used to be quite nice, and he got sent down the wrong path, and his son can still sense that there is some good in him. I don't need to see him cry like a baby and not like sand and all of that nonsense. I don't care. It takes away from it. The same with the Alien franchise. When you look at the first movie, they find this weird ship with this big weird creature on it. They get squidgy alien on the face. They do all they have to do. That's a nice start. I don't need to know that that ship crashed there, why it crashed there, and humans had something to do it, and why the engineers are creating weird snake things. It doesn't add enough to the story to make it worthwhile, and that I
Some
think was my
things,
biggest problem with it.
some things are best untouched or undiscovered.
Yeah, you don't need to know why. You can just accept. I've got that rings of power. Not only was there a story they completely ignored and changed it, but there's a magical ring. There's a big Dark Lord. It's his ring. He wants it back. I don't need to know where the ring came from. They told us at the beginning. There's a prologue spoken by Galadriel. These are the rings. They were deceived when they helped create them, and there was one master ring. That's all you need to know. That's enough of a prequel. I don't need to see it happen. I don't
Oh, I
care.
agreed, because with this whole new Alien Earth TV show that's going to happen,
Hmm.
yeah, is it this summer or next summer?
This summer.
This? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm afraid for what direction they can go down, because it's
Yeah.
Alien Earth. It's its own thing. It
Yeah.
was going to be interesting, and I don't want it to be solely focused on one continent. It needs to be an invasion. It's like the whole world
Yeah.
needs to come together and to try
And
and find out
what
what the threat
timeline
is.
is it set in? That's the thing. I've not
I
really
think
looked
what
into it.
the thing that I'm getting is that it's around. There's only two timelines that I've seen. It's either like around current life, where the
Mm.
world is now for the past like 5 years, or it's going to be directly after like Alien Resurrection, which makes no sense. So
Where did they come from and why are they suddenly? It's finding reasons to have
to
the aliens
connect
in different
everything,
situations, and
yeah.
I don't get that. The only time that, but you look, there's already aliens on Earth, and there have been for a while. Because Alien versus Predator, the Predators were using like the Mayan pyramids or whatever ones they were, coming with Aztec or Mayan pyramids, but they had aliens there they were using as a proving ground for their warriors. So there are aliens on Earth. So at some point they could have got out, but they haven't in the couple of 100 years between that movie and the Alien franchise. So where would they suddenly come from? I don't like the whole, these are engineered creatures. Why can't they be evolved from something else, some, specific race rather than they've been created by these creatures? It's just too much. There should be a planet that they came from when they came from the ooze, and it was a harsh planet, and the way they had to survive was to be the ultimate predator. I know, same predator with aliens, but you know what I mean. The apex
Yeah.
predator, they had to be the best on that planet to survive because it's such a harsh environment with harsh creatures, and they had to evolve the blood so that they could combat all the sharp teeth and the claws of other creatures, so other creatures could attack them. We have it here with poison dart frogs and things like that, where the skin is poisonous, so creatures can't bite them and all that sort of thing. So there's reasons why they could have evolved in the way they have, and they have to impregnate other creatures and do it that way rather than just eggs, so they can get the genetic code and helps them kind of evolve into more creatures. That makes sense. The
You
whole,
see,
oh, we've got these weirdos that decided to create them. No, it's just a stupid idea. The whole covenant
not
and everything just does my
it's
head
not
in.
a bad idea. It's just it's always executed poorly. Like Covenant, in my opinion, is the worst film in the franchise, and it doesn't even come
Yeah.
close. It's just a whole. Like we make fun of it all the time. We know what happens when a facehugger impregnates someone. You have a chest burster,
Yeah.
not a xenomorph that stands there and waves immediately after giving birth. That's not right.
It's There's too much like that with all of it. And this whole, I'm a biologist and I see this squidgy alien thing and I look up really close to it and it's like, no, you wouldn't. You don't know what it is. You wouldn't go and play with it. Oh, look, there's a strange snake-like creature. I'm gonna have a close look at it. Oh no, you wouldn't. It's all the stupid choices people make just for the plot. And I think it's badly written. They're trying to turn Alien into a horror. Alien wasn't horror. Alien was about suspense. It wasn't just about people getting like ripped to pieces and things like that. And the trouble is they tend to try and put it back towards that kind of thing where it's just horrific. There were reasons why things are happening in Alien and Aliens. It was following kind of set ideals of what the story was. And then when they changed that and put too many human things in, and you get the Wayland Yutani is some old guy that's dying and he wants to find the engineers to build him a new body or whatever else. It just takes it away from it being about the aliens. It's then about people being idiots. And that's where it ruins it for me, when it's about people being absolute morons. This is why I don't like Walking Dead. It's not about zombies, it's about morons that get attacked by zombies all the time and do make stupid decisions so they get killed or infected, and then they don't want to tell anyone they're infected and they hide the bite marks and they think it'll be fine. No, they've been in this world for long enough to know if you get bitten, you're going to turn into a zombie and kill everyone around you. So be the bigger person and go, look, guys, I've been bitten. I'm going to go and walk away. Do that. If you don't want your friends to kill you, just go and walk out and just, you know, get lost. Not hide it and then kill all your friends. It's just, oh. I know people would do that, but it's just the same things all the time. As we've talked about many times with different horror movies, it's the whole, I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to go downstairs into the creepy basement with no light and just see what those weird howling and scraping noises are. You wouldn't do that, would you? And
No.
that's what I think annoys me about a lot of this, is people do the stupid things. That's why I like the original movies, because it wasn't about people doing stupid things. People did do stupid things, like the company, when they decide, right, we want to smuggle this in, so I'm going to let these facehuggers out to impregnate Ripley and Newt, and then take them back, and nobody will know about it. Yeah, that's not just making a stupid decision. That's a corporate stupid decision because he wants to make some
Yeah.
money. That's understandable. But when people do it for no reason, that's where it falls apart. You look at the original Predator movie. They were smart guys. They weren't.
They got outplayed,
Yeah,
outmatched.
there was somebody that was better at doing their job than they were, and they got caught out. Only like two people survived it: the girl and Arnie. Nobody else survived. There's reasons for that. I look at Predator 2. Predator 2 is a kind of weird one for me because I enjoyed the movie and I think it was quite good, and it explains a little bit about the Predators coming back every so often, using Earth as like a proving ground and all of that, and all the skulls they have is quite cool, and the guns. I like the pistol he gives to Danny
Yeah.
Glover. It's the whole Danny Glover being against the Predator that I never understood. The original comic version, it was actually Dutch's brother, so Arnold Schwarzenegger's character's brother, who was a big hulking guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so that's what I was kind of expecting from it, but it wasn't. It was Danny Glover. And it's like, so you've got this older cop and he's facing off against the ultimate hunter. And it's like, does that really make sense? It kind of worked, but it was just a bit, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit strange for me,
Mm.
the decision, instead of going with the kind of another Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I suppose a lot of people go, oh, look, it's just a remake of the first one. So I
Yeah.
can see why, but it just felt kind of weird, I think, in places, that he's facing off against this guy. And I think they could have done a lot more with him using his brain a lot more. And some of it was like, he's hanging from a building with like the disc blade thing. And it's just like, he probably wouldn't be able to do some of that stuff. And it
Yeah.
should have been more about him using his brain to try and outwit the Predator. I think would have made the story a little bit more kind of believable and
Yeah. More
enjoyable.
believable. Yeah. Just anyway, just quickly, mate. I've got it up here just before I forget. Alien Earth is set in 2120, 2 years before Ridley Scott's Alien. Alien Earth seems focused on two basic storylines: the crash landing of a ship containing xenomorphs and conflicts between various corporations, of which the infamous Weyland-Yutani is just one player. Series showrunner Noah Hawley has said the series is open-ended and could run well beyond one season. In the direction we're hoping it will go, it will help the Alien franchise breathe once again.
But so
That's always
we've already
about.
established there's been aliens on Earth, and you look at Alien vs Predator 2, once again,
Yeah.
they're on Earth. So that makes kind of sense. But then to say that there's a whole bunch of them there, then when Ripley's out in space, and then she comes back and nobody believes her about it, like 57 years later or whatever
Mind
it is
you,
now.
Nathan,
It's a
Alien
bit,
vs Predator and Predator Requiem, they're not in the official timeline. They're their own films. Some
yeah.
people consider them to be in the timeline because it's Alien and Predator. Of course, you're going to watch them, which is what I'm going to do with my girlfriend. Because once we
But
watch
they are linked. Look
that,
at Alien Resurrection
they were never
number 4.
linked.
It is linked because it's got the same actor.
Yeah, just because they've got the same actor
It's
doesn't
linked.
mean it's linked.
Yeah, I know,
They've
but
been.
playing the same character. No, I know, but it's playing the same character. They've kind of, so they've done that. Although it's obviously a robot version of it, it's not actually him. And it's obviously, Bishop and everything else it was modeled on. on the original, like Whale and Yutani. But that links it. So that's where you think, oh yeah, it's it because it's the same person. So that's
Yeah,
kind of where
but
it muddies it a bit, isn't it?
yeah, it puts a blur in it. It's
Mm,
more like, I know it's not connected because it clearly isn't, but this person is in this film, in this franchise, which has the same creatures and aliens.
mm.
That's where it gets blurry, because if they're
But
using
because
the same
it's the same
character,
company, it's the same
yeah,
character working for the same company with the same values. So it's difficult to go, oh yeah, but they're not really linked. Well,
it's
you
just
have
that.
it's difficult for them to go. They're just saying it's not linked because it doesn't match up to the storyline. But when you watch them, it's linked. So it's one of those saying after, oh yeah, by the way, these things are linked, and this is it's like, looking at the Marvel universe, and you look at Iron Man 2, the little kid that's wearing the Iron Man mask, and Tony Stark saves him. That's actually Peter Parker. Well, it
Yeah,
wasn't at the time, but they've
no,
decided later that that's Peter Parker. So
yeah, I
it's like,
remember that.
why you don't need to? It doesn't matter that much. You don't need to have everything to link. But if you do it in an obvious way by using the same actor with the same character name, with the same company, then that'll do that. They could have done it slightly differently and just had a random company. It didn't, but they wanted to link it. The trouble is, they wanted to link it to the franchise, but not be part of it. You can't have it both ways. If you've got it linked, you've got it linked, and people will make those links and
Yeah,
make that. Yeah, it's just a bit, well, it's a bit annoying. But still, the whole is taking place when Ripley's in space. Is it not then part of that universe? Because I said when she then comes back, they don't know about the aliens. So it's all a bit, I don't know, anyway you look at it, none of it kind of adds up again because they put it before. And it's the same thing with, you look at Star Trek. Obviously, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. The one series of Star Trek I did not watch was Enterprise. Didn't like it at all. It was a prequel to the original show. Scott Bakula's in it, and he's one of my favorite actors. I thought he was brilliant in like Quantum Leap and that sort of thing. But as a Star Trek show, it was ridiculous. It was set way before Kirk. It was, the beginnings of the Federation, but they all had much better technology than they had on Kirk's ship, like ridiculously better technology. They met the Borg hundreds of years before they should have, and it just made no sense in the timeline, and it ruins it for me because none of it makes sense. It's like watching Gotham. I can't stand that show. I'm a big fan of Batman and the DC universe. I can't watch Gotham because none of it makes any sense in a Batman timeline. And then they go, "Oh, but it's not connected. It's an alternate." Oh no, I don't care. You've got Bruce Wayne. You his parents die. He's a rich kid, and he starts, deciding to become a vigilante and all that. Great, but why is he meeting the Joker, and the Riddler, and Catwoman, and everyone while he's a kid? Same as Smallville. Why is Clark Kent friends with Lex Luthor when he's in school, and then friends with Lois Lane like before he goes? It makes no sense, and that's what they keep doing with all of these shows. They have them, and they use all the names and the situations, but it's not really linked. It's slightly different. It's like, yeah, but it's not, because you have in your mind what has happened before, and they've gone in the past, and it's like, this is how it all happened, but it didn't, but it kind of did, and it's confusing and it's frustrating to me.
but what I've got here in front of me at the moment is that the Alien vs Predator films, that was when they combined obviously both franchises. You got the Alien franchise
Yeah.
and Predator franchise, and they combined it to make a film together.
Mm.
But Screen Rant, in an interview with the writer for Prometheus and Covenant, with Ridley Scott, says Alien vs Predator is not canon to the Alien movies or the Predator movies to their knowledge, because the way they set up the story being told for the xenomorphs is completely different to what we know in Alien vs Predator. It's their own corporation making the films, whilst Warner Brothers have
Mm.
made your very
Which
well-known
is so,
Aliens.
it's one of those things that it doesn't matter what they say. It's out there in the world, and it's
People
difficult
can make
then,
their own, yeah.
unless people go and read every interview and everything else, which, let's be honest, at least like 85% of people probably aren't going to read those articles. They're just going to watch the movies as being movies. So it becomes difficult. You either have to do something different, or live with the fact that people are going to link them. You can't have it both. You can't have the characters and the situations that everyone is used to, and having the aliens with the acid blood and the face huggers and the predators with their shoulder cannons, the invisibility and the heat vision, and not link them up to the original franchises they're from. It's not going to happen because people know those and people are watching them because of the original franchise. What if they did that Alien versus Predator but made the Predators and the aliens totally different? People
Yeah.
wouldn't have watched it.
No.
So they're capitalizing on the fact that people like these franchises, like these kind of characters and their characteristics and what they are, and then go, "Oh, it's not linked to any of this stuff, though. It's just something different." Yeah, but don't. There's no need to do that. Put it in a different timeline or something else. It didn't have to be set in modern day world.
No, it doesn't. It need
AVP
it.
could have been on a different planet. It didn't have to be on Earth in modern times. This is where they make the mistake. They want it to be different and go, look, imagine what would happen if they were here now. Great, but you have to kind of make it
Which is
highly
what I
visible at the
liked.
beginning. That's what it is.
It's what I liked about Prey. They went to native
You know
Indians.
what? I still haven't seen it.
Mate, it's it's a great film. I watched it the other day
I
with my girlfriend. It's a
yeah,
great
I keep
film.
hearing that, but it's one of those things I just don't get around to. So I know they've been talking about doing a sequel where they're in feudal Japan with like samurais and stuff,
Yeah,
which would be
I would
interesting.
love that.
But that makes sense in the Predator timeline because we know the Predators do visit every like however many years when it's height of summer. We know that from the first movie and the second movie. They explain
Mm.
that. So that's absolutely fine. They're not changing the predators, they're not changing what happens later. They're just going, these are some of the other instances when the predators are visited. And I'm absolutely fine with that because it's not a prequel, it's just expanding on these are some of the stories that have happened within the timeline. They're not
See,
trying to explain,
a lot of
predators
people.
found Earth for the first time and they did this.
Oh,
No, we don't
yeah,
need that.
no. It's just that I was when me and my girlfriend were watching Prey, she asked why aren't we starting Predator because I know that's the first one, and I told her, well, if you want to watch it in chronological, we're starting off with Prey because it's like it's like 1,000+ years ahead of
I wouldn't.
Predator.
To be honest, I would have done it in the order of release rather than chronological.
Yeah,
I don't like chronological for that very reason. Like Star Wars, I would never. If somebody hasn't seen Star Wars before, I would not start with the
until they've
Phantom
watched.
Menace.
I'm gonna. I've told my girlfriend
Watch
we're
the
starting with
original.
the original three
But it's the
first.
same with like Predator. You watch the original Predator movie, you have no idea what the Predator is. Nothing's explained about it, and then they mention that you know we think this has happened before, or come if they think they said it in the first one. They mentioned that they think that's happened. The second one definitely states that they've been in the past. They've been throughout Earth history. That's when you watch Prey after that. Get rid of Alien versus Predator and just watch Prey after two because then it makes sense because it's like and this is some of the stuff that happened previously when the predators visited and that's a nice way to kind of do it because I haven't like I said I haven't seen Prey but I don't know how much of understanding you get of what the predator is in that movie.
No,
You know
I
what I
can
mean?
tell. I can tell you for a fact. It's like you need to know what the predator is because it doesn't explain anything. You just see what the predator does. What the predator does. Hunts.
Right.
It collects trophies. That's what it
Which is
shows.
what's good about the original movie because they're figuring out what the predator is, how it's hunting, like the fact it doesn't attack the girl because she isn't a threat, doesn't have weapons, and it's all of that stuff you find out on the original movies. And that's
Mm.
why I think it'd be good to watch those and then watch Prey because you have an understand, right? So it's not going to attack, it's not going to do this, it's going to act this way, it's got these capabilities, got these weapons, and then that's I think it makes sense in that way. There's not many films like where I'd say doing it in the chronological order is necessarily better than the release order.
No, yeah, I agree there. Like I said with my girlfriend, I did it with Prey the once off, but when it comes to like Star Wars, we're starting with the original trilogy, and then we're starting all the way at Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And she
Or
prefers it like that, and I'm grateful because it makes sense, and it would make more sense for Alien vs Predator when I change it a bit for her.
but the other way to do it is I think Sam Witwer, the guy that does a lot of the voices and
Hmm.
so on, he actually said I think the way he says it is you watch New Hope,
Oh, I know what you're on about. Yeah.
watch Empire Strikes Back, go back, watch the original movies, but only to like the second one. Watch the Clone Wars and do it that way, so that you get an understanding and you find out more about the. Well, in fact, you only watch half of Empire and go back to like early ones and learn about Anakin Skywalker and get to like the character and follow his adventures, and then you find out he's actually Darth Vader and do it that and then get that reveal. So you get through the Clone Wars, then go back, finish Empire Strikes Back. So it's like, all right, Anakin Skywalker is his father. So by the way, it's his dad's like, what the hell? And then you can watch the prequels and watch Return of the Jedi and so on, and do it that way. So you get an understanding of Anakin and like this character as great hero and everything else, and everything he's been through, and you kind of understand that without spoiling who this little kid will become later by watching kind of the reveal in Empire Strikes Back. But also, if you watch the original movies and then go back and watch the prequels, you're just waiting to see what happens. And I think it doesn't work that well, because for me, I don't mind the prequels. I'm not a big fan of Revenge of the Sith. Not at all. I didn't enjoy it because once again, it's Anakin Skywalker makes stupid choices that people wouldn't do. A normal, rational person would not make his choices. Oh, by the way, I've sent you some, visions that your wife is going to die, and to stop that happening, kill those kids. Like, really? It doesn't make a
You're
lot of
more
sense.
you're more of the personal type, because Revenge of the Sith is considered one of the better Star Wars films, and
It's got
I've
nice
noticed.
battles, but it's that part of it I don't
Yeah,
like.
but the thing is, I notice when it comes to you, you prefer things in. Like this isn't any passive aggressive. This is just from my observation. You're more of the type that enjoys it if you enjoy it because you know what you know and you know what you like. Whilst majority of the fandom understand that the prequels is on par, if not sometimes better than the original trilogy, which is stupid to think.
I
But
don't think so. The only
Revenge of the
way I
Sith is a
can
good film.
I just don't like the rationale for Anakin becoming Darth Vader. I think it was very rushed. There wasn't enough of him kind of descending into kind of, the madness of loss and the worry. There wasn't enough of that. He was a petulant little child for most of it, and like just full of himself and a little bit kind of angsty. And it's just how quickly he went from trying to save the universe and be powerful and try and save people to I'm just going to kill these kids. Yeah, that's a bit I don't get. Now, from another point of view, if I look at it kind of rationally, it's not meant for me. It's a kids movie, so they've done it very basic to understand. It's like, oh, he's scared of something happening, he's been tricked, and he's done these bad things. From a point of view of this is made for like a 10-year-old, then it makes sense. But for me, there wasn't enough of him descending into darkness for it to make
Which
sense the things he does.
Which is why Star Wars, especially the prequels, in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, it's heavily relied on people being bothered and asked to watch the Clone Wars, the TV
Yeah.
show, because that is what the Revenge of the Sith was missing out on.
Yeah,
Backstory for
exactly. There
Anakin
wasn't enough. But once again, it shouldn't be relied on.
relied
For
on a
movies
TV show.
days, you shouldn't
No,
have to rely on watching a cartoon or reading a book, reading a comic book.
no,
That's
not at
what
all.
it let down. And that's what I think the issue is. They went, oh, yeah, but we've done all that already. No, you need some of that to flesh out the character so that you feel sorry and pity for him and understand where he's coming from, understand why he's gone to the dark side, how his mind was manipulated into doing these bad things and taking that path, but they didn't. And it was just kind
Anyway,
of like, oh,
we,
he's
we
evil
need to
now.
get back on track, mate. We've gone on to a Star Wars rant again.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, too often, sadly, but I'm not complaining. Anyways, well, is there any thoughts you want to share about aliens and predators and what you want to talk about? Because I think I've covered the main basis that I wanted to talk about aliens and predators.
No, I think once again, it's one of those things that there's a lot of stories out there they could have done. Like Alien 3 was a bit of a meh kind of movie. There was one alien, and it was like they were trying to rekindle what they had with the original movie. there wasn't any guns. They were stuck in a limited space and trying to defeat the alien. And a lot of that just kind of felt a bit, well, after watching Aliens, which was very sort of, action driven, and you've got, these army guys coming in with guns blazing and all the bravado and everything else and the one-liners. You've gone from that to going back to trying to do the first movie where it's trying to do a bit more suspense and a bit more horror side of it. And I think that it kind of felt like going backwards. There are other stories out there in comic books and so on for some of the other ideas they had for the movie that they didn't do. And I think some of it was ultimately Sigourney Weaver didn't want guns. She was going through a stage of she didn't want guns and all of that things, and Mum and everything else deciding she didn't want that kind of level of that sort of violence in a movie. Fair enough. But I think it took away from it. I preferred 4, apart from the special effects, which I thought were dreadful.
Mm.
And that's something that winds me up a lot about early CGI, is they just made them too shiny.
Yeah.
The aliens just had so much light shining off them, they're wet and shiny all the time and unrealistic.
Don't
Which
get
I
me
think,
wrong, I really enjoyed the whole animation when they were swimming, because that's
I
how I
didn't. I
expect.
thought
I
I
did.
think they didn't look realistic. They were kind of elongated and elastic looking. But it happens a lot with that sort of thing. You look at Blade 2, a great movie. The fight scene when the vampires try and get Blade to help them, and they're fighting in front of those big lights, and they're kind of stretchy, and it just looks ridiculous. It's that kind of thing, but more shiny. It kind of
Yeah,
bugs me. I prefer the more traditional costumes and that sort of thing. I don't mind CGI, and it's getting better and better. But I think it was overused before it was ready, and it took something away from the realism of the aliens because they didn't look real. Look at the original movie and Alien, and they were proper things. They you could reach out and touch them. They felt like they were realistic characters. And then you go into Alien 4 and it just didn't look real. It
mm.
looked fake, and that kind of took it away from me. I prefer that to Alien 3, the movie in general. Although 3 has its moments. Obviously Charles Dance is brilliant in it, and a few of the other characters there had its moments. The ending I thought was stupid with the whole, oh, by the way, you got a queen alien inside you, and then she puts her arm, and it's just like, oh god, whatever. That was a bit stupid. And the end of 4, I absolutely hate. That
Yeah,
stupid Indian
yeah,
baby
that's
thing, and it's like
disgusting.
trying to make you feel sorry for it as it's getting sucked out of the hole in the window, which winds me up as well. That whole being sucked out of it, it's just, oh, the whole thing of that was just absolutely ridiculous. But the stuff I love about the movie, the whole thing when she throws the basketball behind her and gets it in the net
Oh, yeah, that was
first time. The
yeah, I remember
stories
watching
Ron
a clip.
Perlman tells about that is just like everyone's just like stunned. It's like she just walks away, just throws it absolutely behind her to go straight in. It doesn't touch the sides. And they're all like, "What in the shit just happened?" And it's just one of
Yeah,
those moments that
I
sticks with you.
I remember. I don't remember his name. He's
It's Ron
Hellboy.
Perlman was
Ron
yeah, Ron
Perlman. Yeah,
Perlman. Yeah,
Ron
it's him talking
Perlman.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah, the fact that he said that that was the first and only take, and what
yeah.
you saw on with his reaction and the
It's
voices
yeah,
was
it's real
real.
reactions. That's
I
what I
love
love
it,
about things like that is when you get the actual reaction to something happen. It's like,
and they
wow,
keep
that's
it in
amazing.
film.
And they've done that with so many films. You look at the original Die Hard. Alan Rickman, when he gets dropped from the building, they had him on a harness and all. He didn't really want to do the stunt, but it's like, he did for the realism. They didn't tell him when they were dropping him. They just suddenly dropped him. So his facial reaction is his reaction to being dropped off, the high level, because he didn't know when it was going to happen. And they just dropped him. It's like, oh, like that's perfect when they do stuff like that. I think they did it with Loki as well in Avengers. Where the Hulk grabs him and pulls him, and then he
Yeah,
does the whole, puny god. They didn't tell him when he was going to be yanked, so they yanked him, so you get an actual reaction from him. So it's quite nice when they do little things like that and put the realism in it, because there are some amazing actors that can make you feel something, but when it's a genuine, real reaction, then it just makes it that kind of little bit special, doesn't it?
it
It's,
because what was it? There we had that scene in Alien Resurrection with Sigourney Weaver pulling a 3-pointer out of nowhere behind her back.
yeah.
I remember in the extra scenes disc for Alien,
Mm.
Sigourney Weaver said the first scene that she did with the alien was the last ship scene where it comes out of the vent. ventilation, and it just pokes its head through and turns up to her. She didn't get told or even asked where the alien was. She just saw movement in the corner of her eye, and what is it, in the frame she said you could just see Sigourney Weaver on the side of the camera, and she is falling to the floor very slowly. But in the film, when they pan to her, she's standing tall and strong. She said that she absolutely crapped herself when she saw that thing poke through. That is what we kind of need in Alien Earth. We need the cast to be surprised, to give raw reaction. Because if someone is going to have two brilliant unscripted reactions in the same franchise, to keep it somehow alive today, we need it in Alien Earth, but not at a certain extent, I would say.
Yeah.
We just need something to give us belief that aliens could be scary again, because after Romulus, I wasn't even scared going into the film, because I've seen aliens get torn to shreds by now in games.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but you look at, the original Alien, it was unstoppable. They had no way to combat it. They had a flamethrower. They had to be smart, and try and kind of lead it where they need to do to get rid of it. And you look at then aliens, and they're killing hundreds of them, just shooting with guns. Yeah, you no longer get that kind of these things are scary. That's why it's good when they go back to kind of basics, what they try to do with Free, to make it scarier again and make you feel this is something you have to worry about. And I think that's the biggest worry for me with this whole Alien Earth thing is where are the aliens coming from? How are they getting there? How many are there? You can't have too many, but you can't have too few. This is something
I
I'm worried
reckon
about.
I reckon the alien cast should start off, and this is me being serious, one queen, about 5 drones, and maybe an egg or two that survived the crash.
It doesn't even need to be that many.
No, it can be
It could be one egg
one
with a
face
face
hugger.
hugger.
Yeah,
But
but
then,
if
from what we've looked at, the queen is kind of born from, a face hugger will impregnate somebody with a queen
see
embryo.
that was what I was about to say and touch on, because if it's a normal face hugger egg, we will have to go through the slow process of a drone turning into a Praetorian and then a Praetorian turning into a queen. If it's a royal queen facehugger, then we'll get the queen immediately. And I'm not sure which I would prefer. I wouldn't mind seeing the queen pop up immediately, because it would be a very intricate
I think
design.
they have to do it that way.
Yeah,
Rather
but
than one
going
alien that
through the
becomes another
drone,
alien.
yeah, and
That's
then
not going to
evolve.
work.
No, because
This has got to
what I
be an
was
alien
about.
queen.
Yeah, what I was about to say, if we see the royal facehugger, we've only ever seen the look. We didn't even get to see the look properly. We saw what the outline of the queen chestburster looks like in Resurrection through an X-ray. We need to see that motherfucker, excuse my French, burst through someone's chest, and we get to see a practical queen chestburster. And then the queen lays an egg with her sack, and then she unleashes hell upon Earth. That's what I want to see.
We need to see the whole alien kind of, life cycle as part of it, to show where it comes from and how quickly they can propagate this species. How long does it take for a queen to start laying eggs? What preparation does it take? How many drones does she need to help her build the nest, and all that kind of stuff would be interesting to see. How does one, if it starts with one drone or whatever and one egg, and the egg doesn't hatch straight away because the drone has to get stuff ready, or whatever it is, or however they do that. It'll be interesting to see how that does, rather than, oh look, we've just brought 20,000 eggs with us and they're all going to hatch. It's going to be a bit like, well, I don't need to see 5 or 6 eggs hatching and then we get 5 or 6 drones and then they bring more eggs out. That's going to be a generic kind of horror. Look at, there's loads of movies where they do that kind of thing, where there's a whole bunch of them and they all grab a bunch and bring them back. And there's so many different types of movies they've done that. I think they need to go in a different direction and show the initial struggle, that how amazing intelligent these creatures are, that they're not just mindless killing machines. In fact, they do have, conscious thoughts, and they do have to decide how they're going to take people on, and how they're going to hide, how they're going to
It's
survive.
in the um Alien versus Predator and Marines game where you could control the Marines, the aliens, and the Predators.
Yeah.
Once you complete the Xenomorph campaign, you are the only Xenomorph left on that planet. That Xenomorph is a drone, and that a drone, knowing it's the last of its kind on that planet, it evolves into a Praetorian, and then after it hunts, it evolves into a queen. The queen gets abducted by Weyland Yutani, and then a new queen is born because you saw the stages of it thriving to the current circumstance. I wouldn't mind seeing that in Alien Earth, but I don't want a whole season of it. I want like 4 or 5 episodes where you see the Xenomorph every so often hunt, eat, hibernate, evolve.
Exactly.
And then do it again when it's a Praetorian. Once it's evolved into a Praetorian, does the same thing but a lot more aggressively to become a queen, and then we don't see much of the queen until we see humans find an egg. I don't, if we go down that direction of Alien Earth, once it turns into a queen, I don't want to see it for a couple episodes. I want to see it again towards the end, or once the humans find the egg.
Exactly, and hopefully they'll do that, but I have a feeling it'll be a ship will crash land with a whole bunch of eggs on it, and there's aliens. That's what I expect it to be.
That's what's going to happen. Let's be realistic, because it guaranteed. I say this all the time, mate, and you do too. If we were in charge of these franchises, me and you could single-handedly make them better.
Yeah, there's so many things. The trouble is they just go more, bigger, better. Michael Bay, bigger explosions, better explosions. Megan Fox, more explosions. That's all he makes his movies like, and it doesn't work. And Fast and the Furious, faster cars, flying cars, parachuting cars, cars in space, cars against submarines. You don't need bigger and better. You need something that makes sense with what you've got.
Then let me ask you this as a question for Alien Earth then. If you're saying that we need something that isn't too flamboyant and over the top, what hybrids of Xenomorph do you think we'll actually see in the show? Because
I think it would be interesting, because at the end of the day, the aliens don't care what creatures
get
they're up
attached.
against.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. They do not need to be humanoid, which I think would be quite interesting.
Yeah, because
if people don't even encounter them for a while, and they take cows or sheep or whatever else is around, the local wildlife, they don't have to go after people to start with. And I think that'd be quite interesting, having
in a
different
show
types of aliens.
Yeah, I was about to say, in the show we can potentially see runners, drones, warriors, Praetorians themselves to protect the nest,
all aliens,
all crushers,
there's
horse. We can see it all. We can see
it would
spitters,
make
we can see
sense if
flyers,
they're in a
carriers.
rural area, probably in America. It's not going to be in a city. It'll be out in the middle of nowhere, farmland potentially. So why don't they take over? No, because all they need is simple creatures. First of all, they can take over, impregnate, and create more aliens, and
Yeah,
that
because
would be a great way to do it. Imagine if the queen alien bursts out of a massive like buffalo or something. It's like, why not?
what I want to see, and we have never actually seen it before. We've never seen anything in Prometheus or the Alien films. We haven't seen a facehugger latch onto something else other than a round skull. I want to see what it looks like around a snout.
In Free, because it was the dog that got impregnated.
Cat. It was the cat.
It wasn't a cat, it was a dog.
No, it was the cat that was on the ship with Ripley and Newt.
No,
the
it
cat.
Wasn't. It was a dog.
Then where? Because the cat
it wasn't
died.
Jonesy didn't go on the ship. Jonesy got left on Earth after the first movie. It was a dog that was on the prison planet.
Yeah.
That's why it was a runner, because it was like a kind of greyhound or something like that. So I remember, because originally they tried to put the greyhound in a costume like an alien, and it just didn't work, and they had to do a puppet one instead. But they did try initially, and there is footage of it, the dog trying to run around like dressed up as an alien. It was a bit weird, but yeah, it was a dog. But you didn't really see the face hugger. You see it attack, but you didn't really see it attached and,
Yeah,
and
but
what it did as much.
that's what I want to see. I want to see a face I got on a dog snout. I want to see how that works. I want
Yeah,
to see
or a
how could
cow, anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
anything other than a
how does it
human
do that?
skull.
Yeah,
But I know
exactly.
for the fan revenue, they're going to do a human first. I don't want it. I want
No,
to see it
it doesn't make much
attack.
sense when you think of the ideal place for it to start would be in like a rural location
Mm.
where there would be more animals. It would make more sense from an alien point of view, tactically speaking, if the odd cow went missing and things like that, and the farmers are going like, "What the hell's happened to my cow?" There's this cow with a big hole in it. Like, what the hell has happened?
Yeah,
And I think that would make it interesting. It would put that kind of suspenseful horror aspect into it because there's something out there stalking the livestock first of all while they build their numbers, and that would be how you would think an invasion would begin for an alien species. If they needed bodies to create more of their own, they wouldn't just attack humans because humans talk, humans are smart, humans will talk to each other, and someone goes missing, you'll notice. But animals, that's a lot harder for people to notice there's something wrong, and that would be what I think the most interesting and most realistic way. Because at the end of the day, the aliens are smart, especially the Korean
mm.
alien. And they wouldn't
Yeah,
just
I
go,
just
"There's the
don't.
first person." I think it would make more sense if they
I
did.
just
If they
hope
call
that
it
we don't
invasion,
go.
it should be.
Yeah, I just hope we don't go down towards the gaming route where they're just mindless killing machines.
That's my biggest worry, like with that whole fire team game. They're just mindless creatures, and it just makes no sense. Oh, I didn't realize Timothy Oliphant's in it. That'll be good. He's always good. I like Timothy Oliphant. He's a good actor.
But no, it's like it's more so the games than the films. The games make aliens cannon fodder. The films is like you fuck up one bullet, you're getting it.
Oh, I've just seen the synopsis of the movie.
Go on, explain.
When a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fateful discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat. So that's the story.
So there's already aliens on Earth. It's humans going back to Earth.
No, no, the alien is the mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth. A young woman and a bunch of soldiers find it and find the aliens and get attacked and shit. So that's what it's about.
So we could potentially be seeing less farm. To be honest, there wouldn't be much farmland
It's
either way if it's in 2120.
yeah. So it depends if there's been like any World War Three. Who knows what the planet's like? But yeah, it is basically a couple of kind of soldiers against some aliens. So it's going to be shooty, shooty, shooty. Aliens are coming to get us. It'll be
Don't
that
get
kind of thing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It is going to be streaming on Disney Plus. I am going to watch it because
Oh,
it is aliens.
100%.
I want to make sure it's something that I can sit back in, say, 10 years' time and actually watch the entire Predator and Alien franchise and be happy to watch the show. I don't want to walk away like I'm not going to watch it again.
Oh no, definitely going to watch it. I haven't seen any of the trailers yet. There's quite a few trailers.
There's two. Yeah, there's two trailers. You've got the
There's
genetics
two
one.
there's a few.
Yeah.
Gestation complete, official teaser trailer crate, official teaser, official teaser, official teaser, Alien Earth season 1 trailer. So there's a couple of different trailers
Yeah, I've seen
available.
about four of them, I think. I've seen one where it's showing the DNA of a facehugger human. Then I've seen the crate one. The crate one's good. And then I've watched one explaining what the world is going to be like, something like that. It was a very short one.
Yeah,
But
they're not very long. Even the official trailer's 28 seconds.
and I'm kind of happy we haven't got that much trailers or information about the show yet because it's right around the corner if it's this year, summer holidays, and we haven't got much of a trailer.
Series premiere Tuesday, August 12th.
Then in theory we should be getting a trailer towards the end of this month and entirety of next month.
Well, there is, a trailer, 3-minute long trailer. Gestation Complete, the trailer is called, but yeah, it's a 3-minute long trailer, so that is the official trailer. So we may have to watch that.
All right. Well, I think we should end it there, mate. It's coming up
Yeah.
to an hour now.
It is indeed. And we strayed from the point as always, but the trouble is when we touch on certain subjects, it kind of
It
branches
sparks
off
and
into
it
other ones
sparks
that
a
do
debate
similar
again.
things, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's
All
what
right.
being a
Well,
nerd is about, I guess.
Well, everyone, that's been on a Storyteller's Night. You can find me on Twitch at The Welsh Assassin 9982480 and YouTube The Welsh Assassin 998.
And you can find me on YouTube and Wasn't My Fault, or Twitch under the name Nukami.
Thank you for listening, and until next week, bye bye.
Bye bye.